while ago I 3D printed and painted this little guy here, a Ogryn for Necromunda, and Tagged Events, the creator of this Ogryn, actually did a multi-part kit that is customizable, and I decided to 3D print the Ogryns for my slave Ogryn gang. So I took several more parts of this kit, 3D printed them, and I added also 2 Ogryns of another creator. You will have all the links to the creators in the description to make a slave Ogryn gang that is 6 men strong, and I will show you how I painted these. I especially want to show you a trick how to paint yellow, since I really hated painting yellow for a long time, but that changed when I was shown a little trick. It was from Goobertown Hobbies. Maybe I will find the video and link it in the description. I will paint 5 more of these guys and I will show you how. Enjoy the process. The very first step was priming the bases and also the Ogryns, and for that part I used my airbrush. I used this black primer because I think it's a very smooth finish and perfect to paint over it afterwards. I actually primed the Ogryns before I started recording, so I only have footage of me priming the bases. After I primed the bases, I switched to the metallic gunmetal to base coat the bases, because they are all metallic and I really like the coverage of these airbrush metallics. It's quick and easy to apply. These are 40mm industrial bases of imitation of life miniatures. I will link the creator in the description. After that I tried something, and that is I tried to base coat as much of the Ogryns as possible with the airbrush. In the end I don't think that it was worth the time, because I had so much cleaning up to do afterwards that I think it would have been easier and faster if I just switched to the brush after the priming. To reduce the overspray and to better base coat with the airbrush, I tried to mask parts that I didn't want to overspray with aluminum foil. It worked, but in the end it was a real hassle to mask everything, and so in the end I didn't mask a lot and oversprayed very much, as you will see later. I wanted the Ogryns to have this worker look, since they are former slaves. They are equipped with mining equipment and construction equipment, so I took out these orange for their trousers, because that has sort of this worker look to me. That's how the Ogryns look so far. Very much oversprayed, but some work already done with the base coating, but there's still a long way to go for base coating. So I switched to the brush, and I really had to do a few more coats of the orange, especially in the cases where the legs didn't show very much material, where it wasn't even worth to do it with the airbrush. I didn't want all the Ogryns to pop with bright color, so as a contrast to the orange trousers, I painted the shirts of the orange trouser guys black, so that there is a lot of contrast in their clothes. Also in the skin tones, there was a lot of brushing necessary still. Actually, to paint over the metallics, it took several layers until I was satisfied. To clean up the metallics, that was very easy. As I'm shuffling through the colors, I realized that I didn't take a picture of the Reichland flesh shade. So obviously every skin was washed with Reichland flesh shade. Also the orange parts of the trousers were washed with this red wash to give some shadows where there are cracks and crevices. And I really like this step where the bland colors of the skin becomes suddenly shaded. All the metallics got then shaded with Agrax Earth shade, my all-time favorite wash. It not only enhances the shadows of all the metallic parts, but it also takes away some of the shine from the metallics. So the figurines with a lot of metallics don't shine like lighthouses. Okay, now it is time for the secret ingredient, pink. If you want to paint yellow over a base coat, it can be a real pain. As I was painting my Pelonite Enforcers, some of the first models that I painted for Necromunda, I had to paint like 5 or 6 different layers of yellow, and I still wasn't very satisfied with the end result, because oftentimes the yellow is very bright, it's not covering really well, and I want to address that with this step with the pink. Admittedly, the pink also did take like 3, I guess, layers until I was satisfied with the coverage, but afterwards you will see what happens if you paint just 1 layer of yellow over it. Very obviously, Sci-Fi mining equipment or working equipment has often the color yellow in it, as I learned recently in another crafting video. Even if you Google Sci-Fi mining equipment, it is mostly yellow, so these Ogryns will have a lot of yellow in them. So here is the Pinkman group, looking a bit ridiculous for now, but this will change right now. So the advantage of the pink underlayer is that you just take 1 single layer of yellow. The yellow turns out darker than it would be over like a white underlayer, and for me it's such a nice and warm yellow as compared to different undertones, and 1 layer is enough. The coverage is perfect. You just don't want to leave any pink spots, so you just have to have an eye out for spots that you missed, because I don't want pink spots on my Ogryns. They are meant to look badass, but this trick, it saves me so much hassle with painting yellow, so that I actually changed from hating to paint yellow to actually really loving to paint yellow. Of course, in Necromunda you need hazard stripes. Hazard stripes are just, well, Necromunda needs hazard stripes, okay? Don't argue. And hazard stripes are actually pretty easy. If you think you're not confident in your freehanding, oh no, I can't draw straight lines, don't worry, just try it. The trick is to not move the brush with your wrist, but rather move the whole arm, and the lines don't have to be perfectly straight. You see me here painting some curved surfaces. There it gets a little bit harder, but when we approach the chipping and weathering step, it will change anyway, and the lines won't be perfect in the end anyway. Now that the hazard stripes are done, I will chip them to give the impression that the paint chipped away, and yeah, it isn't obviously in perfect condition. That wouldn't be logical, that wouldn't make sense. So I take some yellow and with pincers, a small bit of kitchen sponge, I dab on just minimal amounts of yellow over the black parts of the hazard stripes. And afterwards we wash also the yellow, this time with a sepia wash. Sepia wash is really subtle, but it darkens the yellow even more. It unifies the chipping with the rest of the yellow, and it shades the recesses, as you can especially see here on this base. After the sepia wash is dried, we switch to black, also with the pincers and the kitchen sponge, and again dab minimal amounts of chipping on the yellow parts this time. When you're chipping like that, try to think about where paint chips would be the most logical to appear. Most logical places for these chips are edges and corners, where things not only hit the heads of enemies, but also maybe ground, maybe concrete, maybe something other hard that will chip the paint away. We're back to the skin tones. When we washed all the skin tones with the Reichland Flesh Shade, we actually darkened the skin color, and with the exact same color as before, I re-highlight some of the parts. Not everywhere, but where the light would shine most on the skin. So raised areas get re-highlighted, which gives a nice contrast to the shaded area and makes the skin readable for the eye. It becomes more obvious for us to see which areas are highlighted by light sources from above and where shadows are. Especially on the faces, it is really important to have a lot of shadows, but also a lot of highlights, so the face gets readable and the face pops. Your eyes are drawn to the faces of people, but also to the faces of miniatures. So now we have shadows on our skin tones, we have the mid-tones again, and now we are applying the highlights, the absolute highlights, so a skin color that is brighter than our mid-tones is applied again over the skin colors, and we are concentrating these absolute highlights only on the highest spots, so be sparing with them. And also here again, with these highlight colors, you can accentuate a lot of the face, but be mindful where to place the highlights and don't destroy the shadows that you previously made. To highlight black is really difficult. You don't have to shade it obviously because it's already the darkest color you can get, but I want to add some sort of plasticity to the black shirt, so I mixed a bit of brownish gray into the black to try to add just minimal highlights to the black shirts and also to the boots, so that it becomes more readable to the eye. It makes sense that there are these folds in the fabric, but be mindful about the brightness of this highlight. The Ogryns have a lot of leather straps around them. This particular one also has a leather cap, so I am base coating these leather straps with brown. To make these leather straps and pouches and caps more interesting to look at, I take a brighter brown and try to add in a stippling motion little streaks on the edges mostly of these leather parts, so it will look like the leather is very worn and is not brand new. And to further enhance this effect, I switch to a even lighter brown and try to add small damaged parts to the leather. It's important to not make this regular in a regular pattern, make it random so that it appears as worn leather. Since we shaded the orange pants, we also get to bring back the mid-tones with the orange, so painting over the higher areas of the trousers again to bring back the vibrancy of the orange. I mixed in some off-white to have highlights. Sorry for the camera focus, the disadvantage of zooming in so much. And also the metallic parts were shaded, so these also have to be highlighted again with a dry brush of gunmetal. Now it's time for all these details. There are a lot of small little details on these awesome miniatures, like tubes, like the lenses of the eyes, and so on. And a lot of these details I painted red. First with corn red as a base color and then Mephisto red as a highlight, or midtones actually, and I further brighten this red up with some orange to paint even more highlights. For the lenses in the eyes of the lobotomized Ogryns, I used various shades of red, adding more and more orange to lighten it up so we can have a nice gradient in these lenses. And with just a little dot of white we add a sort of reflection, and I think it gives a nice impression to all these lenses and eyes. They get readable as lenses. This particular Ogryn has I actually don't know what sort of weapon this is. I didn't do my research yet, but I think it has to have glowy bits. So I added a blue base color and highlighted that with a turquoise color, and then added some white to add this nice glowing effect. I didn't record every detail that I painted because there were actually a lot of small little details. The last of the details that I will add is this technical paint, Blood for the Blood God. It's a very nice, a little glossy but opaque red that is a really good impression for blood. There we have them. 6 Ogryns, 5 of them newly painted, 1 of them was painted already, to make up the basis of my new slave Ogryn Gang for Necromunda. I am really happy how they turned out. They are a little yellow. I may have to call them the Angry Bees, but I really love how the yellow came out. I really love the hazard stripes. I really love the miniatures. They are amazing sculpts, and as said before, I will link you the creators in the description of the video. And now I will shut up and let you enjoy the action photos. With the extra base. This one is an Enforcer Ogryn. He was painted quick and dirty just because I saw this model on the Patreon of tagged events and I fell in love with it, and I just had to print and paint it as fast as I could. a little size comparison, and of course accidental meme. And here you have a photo of the gang. Only the new guys had space on this rooftop, the other guy has to wait. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this painting process. I hope you will find joy in painting yellow as I did, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.